Welcome to another episode of the Lions Carnivore podcast. Your host, Daniel, right here. And I am so psyched to finally have on the show Holly. We've been trying to get together to do a podcast for like over a year. And finally, we have this amazing opportunity. Good morning, Holly.
Good morning. I'm so excited to be on your show.
Thank you. Now, let's just dive headfirst into this. How did you hear about carnivore? What made you go into this lifestyle? Just let's go full throttle.
Okay, so to me, I feel like my story is a little bit boring, but a lot of people can relate to it. So
Mm,
we'll go with it. But um I, like so many others, found carnivore, I think, because of Dr. Ken Berry.
mm,
Because I had basically I've had kind of health issues all my life that I didn't know were health issues. They
mm.
just, since I was very young, I had pretty bad skin issues. And I'm talking like 5 years old, like little kindergartner with skin issues. And as the years went on, I started having like really bad stomach pains, and I just dealt with them. And I mean, that started, I want to say, I remember like probably fourth grade is when I started getting these really bad stomach aches, and they progressively got worse as I got older until I was in high school. And then, just miserable anytime I would eat, really. I didn't know what was causing it. No one ever tells you it's what you're eating that's causing you pain or anything. So I just sucked it up, went on. When I moved away for college and my parents were no longer cooking for me, I was cooking for myself, but what I thought was cooking was really just reheating stuff or getting like processed, the Pillsbury crescent rolls and like boxes of rice-a-roni and stuff like that. Like it wasn't really cooking. So, of course, as as time went on, my stomach aches got worse and worse and worse. And that got to a point where I literally lost consciousness from the pain of my stomach hurting. Like it's one of those, you have you seen the movie Inside Out? And the little
Yeah.
girl, she makes her core memories, and they're like really happy
Yes.
memories. Okay,
Yes.
this is a core memory of a really unhappy memory. Like I can never forget it.
Mm,
So it was Christmas time. I was in college still, so I was living by myself. I was broke, because what college student isn't? And I couldn't afford cable or anything. We didn't have streaming back then.
mm.
And I remember it was Christmas time, and I was like, oh man, the Christmas specials are finally coming on TV. There's something I can like watch. I was excited about it. And I remember getting a plate of Oreos and a big glass of milk, and had a couple Oreos. I drank a little bit of milk, and then, oh my God, I was in so much pain. And next thing I know, I'm waking up and I'm like, my Christmas specials are gone. My evening is ruined. But like, to realize like it hurts so much, you can't even like stay awake for it. Like you're just fall out and you're done for. It was terrible. And so years later, actually probably about a year later, I saw a gastroenterologist, and they couldn't really help me with anything. And finally they were like, well, we think you have IBS. So, there's not really anything you can do for it, but here's a list of foods you can try to avoid. And so I tried to navigate that, which was challenging because they don't tell you to eliminate things out of your diet to see what's causing you problems. They just give you a list of foods to maybe try to avoid, and then you're still eating all the things and trying to avoid one thing at a time, and you don't know what it's doing. So it's very frustrating. So through that, I was dairy free for a while, and then I found my way to gluten free, and I did that for years. And it kind of helped manage things. And gluten is it has its own interesting issues. I mean, it makes people respond very differently to gluten exposure. And I think that's a big part of why people for so long were like, oh, you don't actually have a sensitivity to gluten because you don't respond the same as the person next to you and, and all that. So years went by being gluten-free. I had gotten married. I got pregnant and was having my first kid. And I panicked and was like, I can't not have gluten. I know that food pyramid I was brought up on, and the whole bottom is grains. And they really nailed down that wheat is the base of that pyramid, not all grains, it's wheat. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna have that because I got to make sure the baby's healthy, even though it makes me feel better without it. Surely that's, the things that we think
it's counterintuitive. It's counterintuitive.
It is. And but we're just not reliable, with our own brains. It made sense at the time. They told me to do this and it was my own health. Oh, it's okay if I'm a little bit malnourished, if I feel better. But now I'm bringing the other life in and I'm like, oh no, I've got to put it back. I need, to make sure the baby's healthy. But I wish I hadn't done that, but went through that, eventually cut the gluten back out, and then got pregnant a second time and decided, you know what, we'll keep the gluten out this time. We will just have a gluten-free pregnancy and see how that goes. And then, so I stayed that way. But all these years that I'm gluten-free, because like I said, that food pyramid, it's the base is all grains. So I was hitting all of the grains really hard, all the rest of them that didn't have gluten. I mean, really hard. And I loved baked goods. I had always sugar addict. I mean, I didn't even think being addicted to sugar was a thing, but I definitely was.
Of course.
Yes, anything. So any of the cookies or muffins or cupcakes, oh my God, especially cupcakes, anything that I would have had before, I was making a gluten-free version of it. Plus I was having, oatmeal was my favorite go-to breakfast, and oat bars and things like that. And so I didn't know that those weren't necessarily good for my health. But years later, I'm finally in my 30s and I'm like, I've put on a little weight and I'm not feeling great, but I didn't go to the doctor regularly. I just like many people, even though I hadn't truly found my path to health yet, I was already in a place where I didn't trust the doctors. I didn't feel comfortable around them. They were especially the ones that would kind of just rain on my parade when I would say, I have an issue with gluten. It causes me problems. Only once have I had a doctor that said, oh, I know what you're talking about. I have an issue with it too. And I'm just it hurts to know that you can have a problem and you're going to a doctor for help. That's what they're there for. And they're like, no, you don't really have that. That's not a thing. So, okay, thank you. Thank you for telling me that.
Right.
Yeah. So I finally went to the doctor and got some blood work done just because I'd never had it done. I thought, let's see, let's just see. We're grown up now. Let's take care of things. And the nurse called me back and she said, everything looks good, except for you've got some pretty high triglycerides. And I was thinking, oh, okay, well, I don't think that's a good thing, but I don't really know. I didn't really know all of the ins and outs and all that, but I lucked out because this nurse told me, she said, now you're going to want to get those triglycerides down. And the best way to do that is you're going to have to start laying off the carbs.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, okay. At first I was like, yeah, okay, I'm on board with that. Until I got off the phone with her and realized I don't know what carbs are. I didn't know everything that I ate. Everything that I ate was pretty much in that category. And so I'm like, okay, let me figure this out because my husband was already supposed to be on a low carb diet. And I thought I was being helpful with him. I was not. I was doing him wrong. I was still feeding him oatmeal and sweet potatoes and, all the things that he shouldn't be having. And so I kind of did a deep dive and was realizing, oh my gosh, everything I eat is pretty much carbs. I'm the carbs heavy diet ever. And I was like, okay, I don't know how to do this. Like, I really don't know how to do this. So as I'm looking into the low carb situation, I keep running across keto. I'm finding keto recipes. And I'm like, okay, you know what? When I went gluten-free, years ago, I kept seeing keto recipes, but they freaked me out because they were high fat, which we were told not to do. And they had, because I was the baked good person, I was looking for sweet stuff a lot of times. So everything had these weird sweeteners in it, and I didn't know what they were, but I did know you don't go with artificial sweeteners. I was brought up, don't use the artificial sweeteners. Those are not good for you. So I just assumed whatever sweeteners were in these, because I didn't recognize them. They're artificial sweeteners. Right. And I stepped away. Not once during this whole time was there ever an explanation as to what keto is, why this recipe is keto, why it's called keto, that it puts you in a state of ketosis, and that the state of ketosis does X, Y, and Z? Like, never. So I always was like, oh no, I'm not doing that keto recipe. Realizing what it was for the first time, like actually getting that information and finding it out, I was so irritated. I was like, there were years I could have had these recipes that would have been so much easier to fix. Right. That would have been so much healthier. I wouldn't have been like high carb all this time. I probably would have understood a lot earlier what all this stuff was doing to me. And it was just very frustrating to find out like I could have been, doing this. So in going into the deep dive with keto, of course, I come across Dr. Ken Berry. And so I'm watching a lot of his stuff and I'm like, I can do this. I can go keto. And my husband decided to go keto with me. And so that was like really exciting to have like the two of us together to be able to, do this. And it was great. And I stayed keto for about a year. And watching Dr. Berry's videos, he's always talking about turning down the knob on your carbs, on your carb intake, and just get it lower and lower. And being keto that 1 year, it helped so many things. I mean, I lost weight that I didn't think I was going to lose. And I didn't have a whole lot of weight on me. I have a fairly small frame, but it was enough that I knew I was heavier than I had ever been. And I lost about 15 to 20 pounds going keto. And I thought, man, that was really unexpected. I did this to lower my triglycerides and literally nothing else. Like I wasn't expecting anything else from this. And I lost weight. I've always had, I say always, I've had back pain at this point for years and hip pain because I was in a traumatic accident in my late teens. And it, caused problems with my body. And so I've dealt with, pain throughout the years, even with being gluten-free, and it helped manage my IBS symptoms. I still had flare-ups. I think I had maybe a handful of flare-ups when I went keto, and it was always going back to usually eating in a restaurant, because I would have had something that was either cross-contaminated with gluten or had seed oils in it. Right. I didn't know those were a situation until I went keto. There are just so many things. And then I used to get chronic UTIs, never had one since. Joint pain, don't deal with it anymore. Just a whole host of things that I didn't even know were health problems. I didn't really know I dealt with them. I just thought, oh, I'm getting older. I'm in my 30s. It's time to start feeling like crap, and you're on your downhill slope and life is over as we know it. So, yeah. So, started dialing down that knob on those carbs. And in doing that, I was coming across a lot of carnivore influencers on YouTube that would have recipes. Again, because I was still in the keto space, I'm still looking for like baked goods and the alternatives to all the carby stuff that I used to have. So like, I kind of wish somebody had like shaken me earlier in this process and been like, you don't have to replace everything that you get rid of. Like it doesn't have to happen, but you're so used to having it, you just assume you have to find a replacement for all these things. And so, I mean, in a way, it was good because it still got me to where I was going. And it, I guess it helped me stay creative with what I do with my carnivore food. But I found carnivore influencers and started doing some recipes, and I was like, oh, okay, I think, this is good. I can do this. And throughout this whole time, I've still dealt with my skin issues. And Dr. Ken Berry, every time somebody brings up a skin issue, he says, try carnivore for, 30, 60, or 90 days. Try carnivore. Carnivore is what's going to help with your skin issues. And so I was like, you know what? I think it's time. It's time I try it. I already like, the food. I think it's time that we're just going to go ahead and try going carnivore. So that's what I did. It started off really good. It was such a relief to not be tracking the carbs anymore, because it was, as much as I enjoyed being keto, it got very obsessive with tracking carbs. I mean, I was at the point where I was planning out my entire day's worth of food for the next day to know how many carbs I was getting, if there was some kind of cheat I could put in there, because, oh, I'm going to have carnivore bread on this, so I can have higher carbs on this. It was just, it was so mentally draining. It was so mentally draining. So I went a whole lot stricter so I could feel mentally freer. And it was amazing. And I just ate and ate and ate. And I mean, it was amazing. I didn't think I could feel better than I was feeling when I went keto. Oh my gosh, it was incredible. I mean, I thought I had energy before being keto, because I was dealing with like a whole lot of chronic fatigue from before being keto. Switching to all meat, the energy was through the roof. I was not using an alarm clock anymore. And it was just, oh my gosh. And then like the euphoria I would get after having like just a plate of nothing but animal products. Like, it was almost like being on drugs. Like my brain was just completely rewired. It was crazy. Everything looked different. So it was just absolutely, it was absolutely amazing. Yeah.
It's amazing how carnivore, this lifestyle, can help in so many facets that some things are just underlying and we don't even know that we have until we go full on and we start noticing the differences. And, I wanted to rewind a little bit to your appointment with the GI doctor. Right? And I feel that there are so many individuals that go through this. And again, not demonizing doctors, everyone has a profession, what we get it, but the advancements that we have come to nutrition wise, many physicians don't want to intertwine that. So someone that comes into the office GI wise, try carnivore. Are you allergic to meat? Like, again, we don't know, right? I know that there's like a bacteria, there's like a tick that's going around that you get bit and you have to be careful with meat. But if you don't have that, why not the GI doctor going a level up and giving you a health plan as opposed to, well, let's just try it. I think one of the biggest things about the carnivore diet is the elimination part of removing everything. And again, I thank God for Michaela Peterson. She's the daughter of Jordan Peterson. She had rheumatoid arthritis, I think, at age 8. All these, it was like a litany of issues that this poor woman had. But it took her, what was it, 18 years later to see, all right, you know what? Shoot, I just ate some broccoli and there's some flare-ups and whatnot. Let me just take everything out and go on this all meat. And that's where I wanted to get to, right? I wanted to get to a point where, at what point did you start feeling, whoa, I don't need replacement meals? Because I think that's important what you were saying, because a lot of people think, because I was on that same boat with keto. All right, I need keto friendly foods. I need keto bread. I need keto ice cream. But I just felt like now, hindsight, they were all triggers. They triggered my hunger back. They triggered my flare ups, and it was deliberate. That's the problem. It was deliberate. They do it on purpose so you fall back into that trap, and the noose is around your neck, and every movement that you make, they got you. I
Right.
want to know from you, when did you start realizing, whoa, this is a game changer here?
Well, I don't even know if I can pinpoint exactly when. And I will say I'm still guilty of replacing things. But it's because I like variety. But I
Mm,
have managed to have a pretty carnivore way of doing it. Like I have carnivore breads for sandwiches and things, but they're made out of ground beef or they're made out of like tuna or salmon. Like I have recipes for these crazy things and they don't seem like they would work, but they're very bread like,
mhm.
but they don't have all that other stuff in them. Now, I did go, I guess, you know what? I'm going to tell you, I'm betting the time that I finally realized I don't need replacements is when I was doing Lion Diet because
Mm,
I did do Lion Diet for over 100 days and it was so simple. And I really thought I was going to miss things eating that way. I I went into it dreading it. I had been knowing for a while I need to do Lion Diet. I've got to eliminate things. But I was dreading it. And so it was one of those things where it was like months had to go by for me to get used to the idea. In fact, the first time I did it, I only did it for 30 days.
mhm.
And I was trying to do it for my skin to heal it up, and it didn't heal in 30 days. And I was like, well, it didn't work, but I'm just going to go ahead and start eating things again. And I didn't bring things back slowly, which I guess it really didn't matter. I didn't think I needed to because I was doing it for the skin and it didn't clear up. And then, like that week that I was eating things, people were messaging me and they're like, oh no, if you're healing your skin, you really need to do it for like 100 days or like 90 days, And I was like, oh God, 90 days. Like, I just got done with 30 and I've already started eating. So, like, I have to start all over from day one. Like, I can't just add 60 more days. Like,
Right.
I'm back at the beginning. So, it took me another month or two to wrap my brain around, okay, we got to recommit and do it again. And I was dreading it. And so I I'm one of those people that like once I get my head around something, my brain will flip that switch and I'm all in. I'm good. I'm
Right.
all in. So once I woke up one day and said, "You know what? Today's the day. It's Lion Diet Day. We're doing it. We're starting it. Here we go." And I was good. I was all in and I didn't miss anything and I still was happily, fixing meat in a million different ways, and having, lamb and beef and bison and playing with everything that I could get my hands on to play with within a lion diet. But I wasn't missing all those things. And that, I guess that was probably the eye opening moment of like, you don't actually need this. Like, this is just, it's entertainment is what it is. It's
Great
not
point.
right. It's not because you're needing it to eat. Like, sure, you could eat it, but you're eating it because it sounds more appetizing and more fun. But if you're really hungry, a plate of just a bowl of ground beef. If you're really hungry, a bowl of ground beef is fantastic. Like it's amazing.
Fantastic.
So you don't even have to have the fancy frills of a nice, beautiful steak. If you're truly hungry, it's going to be delicious. So it is what it is.
Couldn't agree more. And there was something I want to underscore here that you had said that I think speaks volumes. And it's an adage that when you speak to people as they get older, there's an acceptance of this lie.
Mhm.
You had said, which is very important, once you get 30, it's downhill from there. Once you get to 30, things start breaking down. Um, I believe that. And so a man thinketh, so he is, right? And you surround yourself with these kind of individuals and get to 36, 38, knee surgeries, back pain at 40. oh my goodness, why am I getting this? As opposed to, I know it's because I'm inactive. I'm not eating well. No, it's because I'm 40. That's the lie that we ingest, that we're like, that's it. Now I'm really dreading to be 45. Oh, when I'm 50, I don't know where I'm going to be. When I'm 60, my kids are going to be taking care of me. When I'm 70, I'm going to be in. That's like the projection that I think so much of the population has said, yep, that's how it happened to him. That's how it happened to her. That's how it's going to happen to me. And I think critical thinking is one of the most important aspects of carnivore, the brain fog. When you finally had that veil taken off and you were able to think clearly, walk me through that.
Oh yeah. Well, I very much, like I said, I started this journey in my 30s. And
Mm.
you always hear, well, if you're going to lose weight, lose it before you're 30, because once you're 30, it's never coming off. And, you're going to start getting the aches and pains because you're getting older. And like I said, I had been in a traumatic accident when I was in my late teens, and I had already had pain. Like I had been in pain for years, and it was just normal for me. And I just chalked it up to, oh, well, your body has taken some damage and you just have to live through it. And it is what it is. And as I'm in my 30s, I'm heavier than I've ever been.
Mm.
And I'm of the mindset, well, this is what it is. Like it has nothing to do with the bag of Doritos you're sitting here eating right now. Absolutely not. It has to do with the fact that you're 30 and you were told you can't lose weight after 30. And that's when you put on your weight. And now you're stuck this way. And you're just going to have to wear more and more clothes and look frumpier and frumpier. But as long as you're covered up, it's fine. Like that was the mentality I had.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so once I changed how I was eating, and especially because I did not come to this space for weight loss, and it happened, and it happened effortlessly. Like I wasn't even trying. And before that, I was exercising. I was walking and I was going to the gym. Nothing, like it did nothing. It changed nothing on my body. And I didn't understand. I'm like, when I was in my early 20s, I exercised and I loved it and I looked great and I ate the same that I, was eating in my 30s. Well, obviously, in your 20s, your metabolism's a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess my brain, and I think a lot of people do, they associate exercise because they're told, move more, eat less and move more. They associate the exercise part with losing weight. And that's not the key. That's not the ticket. It's what you're putting in your body that is going to affect how the fat is stored on your body. So if you're in a constant state of storing fat, you're never going to walk that off. You're never going to exercise that off. It's just not going to happen. So having that veil lifted and realizing like, okay, all right, my body's changing. I'm starting to feel younger. The aches and pains are gone that I didn't think would go away, because for years I've been telling myself your body took some damage and you're just going to feel this way. I don't feel it anymore. It doesn't hurt anymore. And I can go for a walk and my joints aren't hurting, and I can lift weights and it's not it's not a pain. It's not, I mean, sure, you're lifting heavy weights and you have to like get yourself through it, but it's not like it's a burden to you. It's not like, oh man, my joints are not going to like this. It's
Right.
You're getting through it. And it's fantastic. And there's a lot of people out there that are still a little bit unclear on what brain fog is. They don't quite know.
Because they're in it.
And that's exactly my thought, is I'm like, you don't understand brain fog and you don't think you have it because you haven't come out of it. I think everybody pretty much, unless you have eaten a very clean diet your entire life and not had any processed foods, I think pretty much everyone has got that brain fog, and there's no way to lift it until you lift everything out and, clear everything out of there because it's a mess.
It's so wild, right? That this is a common narrative that I think all human beings have is internal discussions, right? There could be no one around. It's just you and you. And you're going through a litany of issues. You start trying to make sense of it. You talk yourself into something, then out of something, negatives, positives. And then there's an African proverb that comes up that says, if there is no enemy within, then the enemy outside can do us no harm.
Ah,
I got that from Les Brown. He's like the best motivational speaker of our
nice.
lifetime. But, reading his books, reading different individual motivational speakers and people that just always continue to stimulate your mind, that internal discussion that's going on within you, it's a constant war where you decide who wins. And if you're like surrounded by so many negative influences, the moment your feet hit the floor to start your day, it's already, I'm not a morning person. Oh, it's Monday. I can't stand, I have to work out. I got to do legs again. But like when you're on this way of eating, like you said, with the euphoria, I'm telling you, Holly, and I know you could attest to it. I have so much life.
Mhm.
It's just I can't stop talking about it. But I'm very reserved, right? Like I know that there are certain individuals I have to be like, careful. I don't
You
want to
don't want to
just
hear it.
they don't want to hear it. So that's the thing, right? Like sometimes I think, am I being a little too happy? But then at the same time,
No.
there's a bar that I keep raising, and you too, and this carnivore community across the board, listening to a Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Berg, Dr. Kiltz, man, the list goes on and on, Dr. Baker, even this heart surgeon, Dr. Philip Ovadia, who I had the pleasure of interviewing. They look at things very differently. And to the point where it's all about being consistent in understanding your body. And I do apologize if I keep rambling on. It's just that I've become that guy at the restaurant. I'm that guy. I get my wife is like, we're at Disney, right? I'm like, yeah, I ain't eating that. So I would fast. That's where I wanted to segue. And I know the listeners right now, they know I'm big on this topic. How are you with fasting? Have you incorporated it, or is it something where you do intermittent fasting? And during this carnivore journey that you're endeavoring, is it part of your life that you don't even think about it anymore? You just do it.
Yeah, so definitely the intermittent fasting. I am huge on that. And extended fasting, I like that too, but I'm a little more careful with it now.
Mhm.
A couple of years ago, let me just start by saying if you have not been a faster, when you exercise that fasting muscle and you realize you can do this, and you realize like you feel good, like you feel really good without the food, um, it's just like anything else, you can get a little bit obsessive with it.
Mhm.
And so when I would I would do, I guess I would do a lot of 48-hour fasts. And I loved them. I felt really good on a 48-hour fast. And between doing the fasting and doing the lion diet, I had lost so much weight that my cycle had gotten messed up. And I was like, okay, I've got to figure out what's going on. I don't have enough fat on my body anymore for
Mhm.
my hormones to be working correctly, obviously. So, like, we got to figure this out. So, over the last year, I've really been kind of, focusing in on like, okay, Intermittent fasting is great. And, extended fasting is good once in a while. I'm very particular about when I will do a fast because at certain times
Mm,
of the cycle for women, it's a little bit harder on the hormones. And it's taken me probably over a year to get things back on track the way I want them. So it's been a difficult climb trying to get there. And I'm finally like at a point where, okay, I think some fasting is good to bring in every now and again, once again. But I'm at the point where I went so long without it that my brain is back to, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. So
mm,
it's hard for me to get in a place to be like, okay, we're going to do a fast. It's almost like my brain looks at it like, okay, are you punishing me? I don't want to do a fast today.
mm.
So
Right, right.
I will only do one if it's in the right time frame of my cycle. And if I like just have this, feeling like today's the day. Like I said, even with the lion diet, I have to wake up and literally be like, today's the day. We're good. We're going to go here. We're fine. We're there.
Right.
And so I actually just did a dry fast. I broke it yesterday, but I did, typically if I do a dry fast, I'll do it for 24 hours.
Mm.
I don't, are you, do you know about dry fasting at all?
Yes, oh man, that's a tough one. I mean, no drinking, no eating. That's like that 40 days, 40 nights desert walking type of thing.
Right.
But I want to do it. I do definitely
Okay,
want
so
to
you
do it.
haven't done it yet. So supposedly, you get accelerated benefits with the dry fast compared to the water fast.
Hmm.
And from my understanding, it's uh, like 3 times accelerated for the benefits. So a
Hmm.
24-hour dry fast is going to get me the benefits of a 72-hour water fast.
Gotcha.
So for me, who especially came off of like hasn't been fasting for a while, and then now my brain has to wrap itself back around the idea of going for a period of time without food. I can get to 24 hours no problem because I can intermittent fast 20 hours no problem before I feel hungry.
Right.
So, I'm like, okay, if I just, I finish my meal, there's no more drinking, and then we're just going to go for it. I can make it 24 hours fairly effortlessly with a dry fast. And
Mhm.
for me, and I've heard it from a few other people. Now, everyone's different. Some people don't, some people are like, no, I need my water. But for me and a few others I've heard, they think it's easier. And I think it's easier than doing a water fast. Something about drinking that water is telling me there's something coming in, and I'm thinking I'm going to feel full, even though I'm not hungry. Like I'm
Mm.
not just absolutely starving and can't do it, but having the water come into my body is signaling like there's something coming in here, and it's almost like it makes me remember that I haven't had food. It's like it just hits
Gotcha.
the empty stomach and it's like, oh yeah, I haven't eaten. But when you're not having anything to drink, I'm not in the kitchen at all during a dry fast. So there's no temptation. I'm not in the atmosphere for there to be anything. I'm not putting anything in that's reminding me, that you haven't had anything to eat or drink. It's just going about my day. And for me, it's very easy. And that finish line of 24 hours is very easy. So I had planned on doing the 24 hours. It was, and I eat early. I do not feel well at night if I eat after. I mean, realistically, I try to eat by like 4 o'clock
Mhm.
at the absolute latest. I prefer to be done by like 2. The early bird special for the old people is too late for me. So at 24 hours, I think it was about 6:45 in the evening. That was way too late for me to eat. And I had gone into that fast knowing that. So I was like, okay, at 24 hours, if you feel like it, you can have a hot beverage before bed. You made it 24 hours dry, have a hot beverage. You can go to bed, at bedtime, and you're going to be fine. You'll still be in a fasted state when you get up, and you'll easily make it to like 36 hours. That was great. When 24 hours hit, I was like, you know what? I'm fine. I don't need anything to drink. I'm not thirsty. I'm fine. And I just went on and I did the full, I think I ended up doing 30, I think 39 hours, 36 or
Wow.
39. I don't remember. But I mean, it wasn't hard for me. and you still urinate. It's not like you're dehydrated. It's not like being in a state of dehydration. Like your
Mhm.
body's still functioning. You're actually making metabolic water out of your fat cells. So you're good. It's kind of like you're turning into a camel. You know that big old hump of fat?
Right. All right.
They use that for metabolic water. Well, you're making your own metabolic water just like the camels do. So yeah.
The if we have to make something new, the camel diet instead of
The
lion
camel
diet.
diet.
I
Love
love
it.
it.
Just the
I see
sun
where you're
beaming
going
down.
with this. Let's do this. I love the mental discipline because honestly, that's where it stems from, right? Where
Mhm.
yes, I can do this, no, I can't. And I love the fact that when you have that goal in mind, you're like full throttle. Let's do this. And I think that's very important throughout life. And but we need channels for that. Like I know before heading on to this lifestyle, I would say things. I would like, all right, I'm going to do this, and then I would find any excuse to veer off and take another train that has another destination that I'm so used to. But what you're describing and the perspective that you're giving on a dry fast is enormous. And again, people have to do their due diligence. Of course, I have to do mine because I really want to do a prolonged fast. Number one, again, this is just subjective um, because I feel like, there are certain individuals that reach a certain plateau and it's not fear, but it's like, I don't know what's going to be on the other side. I don't know. But that's why speaking to individuals like you, they give that green light. Say it'll be okay. Just, do your research and it'll get to that point. Now, when you pivoted from life of eating how mainstream does their thing and you started introducing this way of life to your friends, to your family. How was the social aspect of this whole thing? Did you receive a lot of pushback or was everyone on board like, "Oh yeah, you're just eating meat, no problem."
You know, I didn't get a lot of pushback.
Uh-huh.
But I don't think that's normal for most people.
Right.
My situation was that I had already been gluten free for all these years.
Right.
So people were already used to me having to call restaurants, check in ahead of time before we go places.
Mhm.
Can I eat the food here? Can I not? I already had to take special steps to navigate social situations. I was already in the mind space of, oh, so and so is hosting a party at her house. I'm making something gluten free and taking it because there might not be anything else I can eat. I was already in that kind of headspace to tackle these things. And it also gave me a lot of years of experience talking to waiters and not feeling like I was being judged for being a crazy person that wasn't going to eat what everyone else was eating.
Right.
So when I switched to keto, I was a little nervous about like telling people about it because uh unlike most women, I was not coming from a diet lifestyle. A lot of women, they're like, oh, I'm on a diet, I can't eat this. Oh, let me tell my friends I'm on a diet. And I was never coming from that space. So I was a little uncomfortable thinking like I need to tell my friends that I'm going keto
Mhm.
just because we do get together and we host things and we have little gatherings. And I didn't know how that was going to go. So I remember now, like I said, I've always baked, I loved baking and all the sweets and all the things. And that was one of my things that I would do for my friends and everything is I would
Mhm.
make donuts, I would, make cupcakes, all the little sweet treats. So that's how I told them. I sent them a message and I said, okay, I need you guys to know that I am going keto because my triglycerides are high and I've got to get them down. And this means I'm not having these carbs anymore. So I've got sugar in the house. I've got gluten-free flour in the house. I've got all of these things. I'm cleaning out my pantry. I will, like, if you guys want pasta, anything, I will give you anything that's open. Y'all are going to be able to have it. Y'all can
Mhm.
take it. It's yours. If you have requests for baked goods, put your request in now, because if I don't use up this flour, I'm throwing it away. And just so you know, I'm not baking for you guys anymore unless it's not like, unless it's, low carb, like it's not going to
Right.
happen. So whatever request you have, put them in now. And they were totally accepting of it. They put in their requests. They happily took food off my hands that I didn't want in the house anymore. And it wasn't a big deal, but they were also already used to me, being gluten free and having issues. And I think it helped letting them know, you know, I'm doing this for medical reasons.
Mhm.
I'm doing it for medical reasons. And on top of that, I'm the smallest of all my friends, anyways, even at this point in my life.
Mhm.
So that's probably why I was nervous. I didn't want them to think, oh, I'm going on a diet because I need to lose weight. Like,
Right.
it wasn't about that. And I didn't want them to think I was making judgments because I was changing how I was eating.
Right.
I didn't want that to be a thing. So a year later, taking out everything else and just going meat,
Mhm.
it was interesting. They were already used to me being my own different self and bringing things, to parties and all that. So now it's just, hey, I'm having a get together. What are you guys bringing? And I am always like, I will always bring stuff because, first of all, I need to make sure there's something there for me.
Right.
But I happily want my friends to eat fat and protein too. Like, y'all
Mhm.
need it too. So, um, my answer is always, I don't know what I'm bringing, but it's going to have something to do with meat. It's going to be
Right.
meaty. So I'm like,
Yep.
it might be deviled eggs, it might be chicken wings, it might be ribs, you know, who knows? It's going to be something meaty, and
Mhm.
I'll let you guys know when I go to the store and see what's on sale and can fix it. And they're totally cool with it. They're totally on board. Now, I told you my husband went keto when I did. And because of that, now I've got two kids. Everything in the house, because my husband is still keto. He tried to do carnivore. He was like, I thought he was going to be carnivore. Like,
Mhm.
he was always like, oh, I could eat meat forever. I love meat. And I was like, okay, So when I went carnivore, I was like, well, do you want to try this with me? And he's like, yeah, okay, I can do that. And a couple of months in, like, he was done. He's like, no, I need some vegetables back. I need some kind of variety. And I'm like, that's fine.
Right.
That's fine. So he still does keto. Whatever I cook in the house, the kids eat that. So they eat keto meals at the house.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not one of those people that's like, you can't eat that, you can't do that. But I don't buy the junk food. I don't buy it.
Mhm.
They make they do chores, they do yard work, they earn money. That's their money. What they do with their money, they do with their money. So, sometimes they're going to go and they're going to buy some really crappy treats that taste
Right.
good at the time and give them an excellent dopamine hit. And they're
Yep.
going to feel like trash afterwards. And I make sure I point out why they feel like trash. But
Excellent.
I can't really do much more than that. I want them to be able to make their own decisions and live with the consequences of their own decisions in an educated way, not like
Mhm.
how I had to live with the consequence of my decisions out of ignorance, out of not knowing that there was a better way. But they're all on board with eating keto. And within starting keto, my parents both jumped on board with it. And so that was really great. So, it was a very accepting situation around
Mhm.
me. And then being carnivore, because I have to say this, because there's a lot of people out there that I feel like get sabotaged by their loved ones, and not
Mhm.
on purpose,
Right.
but because, like, food is kind of a love language. You go to family get-togethers and holidays and all this, and oh, but I baked this pie. I know it's your favorite, and I made it just for you. And
Yep.
it's like, they made it out of love, and it's gonna hurt like hell to eat that. But you're like, I don't want to hurt you by not. I don't want to not accept your love. Like, that's how it feels. Like, you
Right.
feel like you're hurting them by not taking what they did for you.
Mhm.
So I have to say, my mother-in-law, she is one of those people that is a food person. Like her love language is giving you your favorite things. And when I went carnivore, there has not been a get together where she has not been like, if we're at her house, she's like, it doesn't matter what everyone else is eating. I got to go get a steak to throw on the grill for Holly. Holly's going to have a
Oh,
steak. Like
that's
it's,
awesome.
there's always something. So she always takes care of me. If we go out to a restaurant, she's always, well, is there something you can eat there? Are you going to be okay there? How, how's it going to be? And I just feel like people need to, they need to tell their families, especially the food people, like, I know you love making me things. And if you're wanting
Yep.
to share your love through food, can you please bring me chicken wings? Can
Right.
you please make me, some meatballs that don't have bread in them? Can you, like, there's things, and let them know, because they just want to love you. They
Right.
don't realize they're harming you or sabotaging you by doing this. Give them an alternative. Like, you don't have to replace that pie with a keto pie. Replace it with a steak. Replace it with deviled eggs. Like, tell them your favorite thing that's carnivore friendly. And I promise you, if they love you the way they say they do, and if they're spending the time baking you a pie, they love you that much, they're going to do that for you. And it's going to make your life so much easier to navigate.
It's safe to say that you have an amazing culinary trait, which segues to your awesome YouTube channel called Your Friendly Neighborhood Cooking Show, correct?
Carnivore, your friendly
Carnivore.
neighborhood carnivore. Mm-hmm.
So the link is in the description down below. And I love your channel. It's awesome.
Thank you.
But I want to ask, what is your favorite carnivore dish?
Oh, you know what? I don't even know. I'm one of those people. See, this is gonna be a big letdown, okay? Because I have all of these crazy things that I like to make and I
Uh-huh.
like to experiment. But I am 100% one of those carnivores that gets in a rut and has like a hamburger patty every single day.
Nice.
But okay, but on the creative side, okay, let's see. What would be my favorite? As simple as it is, I'm probably going to say the eggy waffles,
Mhm.
because they're so simple to make, and then you can top them with anything or add any kind of seasonings or spices or anything to change the flavor of them. And you can make them sweet by putting cinnamon in them, and I like to spread ghee on them, and they're just
Mhm.
delicious. You're getting a good fat source with it. But I mean, that's probably the one I eat the most out of the things that I cook. But I just love my, again, I'm sorry, it's bread replacements. It is, but they're all meat. But I love the tuna toast. I love, I just started doing a beef toast, and it's got caraway seeds in it. So it's very similar to like rye bread, like rye
Mm.
toast. But it's ground beef and eggs. I mean, it's very simple.
Right.
But it just, and it's not that it's bread, because I'm going to tell you, honestly, if you miss bread because you miss the dopamine hit you would get from bread, you're
Mhm.
probably not going to like this. But if you're looking for that vessel to spread butter on or ghee, that's why I like the bread alternatives, because I'm looking for a vessel for these other things,
Right.
or something to sop up the juice from your steak or the yolk from your egg. That's what these bread replacements are for. They're a tool. They're not your main meal anyways. They're just part of it. So, yeah.
I love that. Now, Holly, where can people find you?
Okay, well, I am on X, and on X I am Carnivore Friend. And then on Instagram, I am, what is that? I guess, let's see, friendly neighborhood carnivore. I get thrown off because on YouTube it's Your Friendly Neighborhood Carnivore. On Instagram it's at Friendly Neighborhood Carnivore, and on X it is at Carnivore Friend.
Definitely the descriptions. Again, the links are in the descriptions below. Holly, thank you so much for taking time out and giving myself, the viewers, this great opportunity to get to know you and understand your journey.
Thank you so much for having me. I've had the best time with you today.
Thank you. And you are always welcome to hop on.
Oh, I'll be back. I love
Have
to
a-
hang out and chat.
Absolutely. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Fantastic.